Yeah, very, very excited about this today because, as I think all of you know, this is going to be the first gathering of our new format going forward. We're going to have Just Send the Damn Card is very slowly but surely becoming slow good. I think I've shared that with all of you now. And so the first part of each month is going to be about slowing down and focusing on ourselves. And that is very intentional that we do that first. Before the second half of the month, we will focus on doing good for others. And that looks like writing cards to people, checking in, and just having different prompts and just fun resources posted to our group. So Shannon, I'm so thrilled that you are our first here. I can't think of like a better person to kick us off with this new format. And I'm just so thrilled to have you. And I know that more people are planning on coming in, but I feel like we have a lot to cover. So let's get
it's all good. Let's dive in. And we're recording it too, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that my cue to jump on in?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I'm gonna
any moment
introduce Shannon here, but I feel like we know you. But I would love for you to kind of give us your typical spiel for people that will watch the replay and maybe join later that haven't met you before. Yeah, tell us all the sunshiny things about Shannon Klenk.
All the sunshiny things. Wow, we could just do that for an hour. Okay. Well, hi everybody. For those of you who don't know me or are watching the replay, because I feel like everyone here does, my name is Shannon Klenk. And I am a self-care coach, and I'm a certified EFT or tapping practitioner. And I've designed something that I've called the I Am coaching method, where I walk women through step by step how to integrate their actions with their mindset so that they can finally start getting the results that they're looking for. I am so honored and so excited to be a part of this format with Sarah and with you guys. Like, I love this idea of putting more tools in our toolbox to fill up our cup, because everyone in this community just gives and gives and gives and gives. And we know the importance of filling up our own cup. But what are those tools? And by the end of the year, right, we're going to have this rich toolbox, and some of them are tools we already know, and some of them might be new. Some of them we're just like brushing them off and shining them up. But the truth for me is that I use different tools at different times for different situations and different seasons of my life. So like, the more tools, the better. Yes. So just for those of you who are here, like if you're watching the replay, I'm so happy you're here. But how many of you are familiar with EFT? Because that'll give me a little bit of, and when I say EFT, I mean tapping. Awesome. So we have a couple people who are familiar with tapping and some who don't know anything about tapping. That's great. That makes me really excited because it's a good mix. So I'm just going to be as quick as I can because I really want an opportunity for practice, but just to give you a little introduction to what EFT is. And so in its most base form, EFT is a way to reduce stress in the moment, anywhere, anytime, totally for free. Like, that is what EFT is. It's a form of acupressure that you do to yourself, for yourself.
Not acupuncture, like I said in the last workshop when I said that you were coming in. We're not doing any
needles. No needles coming through Zoom. It's one of the wonderful things. But it's a form of acupressure that you do to yourself. And so I'm not going to get into it now, but there's a ton of science behind EFT. If you're ever interested, I'd be happy to share more with you, or go check out Peta Stapleton on Instagram or anywhere. She's sort of the easiest integration of science. But there's a lot of science behind EFT. And I think the number that's probably most important to share in this format is that it reduces our cortisol levels by up to 40%. Right? And cortisol is our #1 stress hormone. So if we can reduce the stress hormone, we're going to reduce our stress. And EFT has been studying along with EMDR or cognitive behavioral therapy, other modalities for managing stress and anxiety. And the thing that makes EFT different is that although all these modalities show a reduction in overwhelm and anxiety and stuff, the long-term benefits of EFT works longer. So people are experiencing less stress even 6 months after a 6-8 week course of treatment of EFT, 6 months, 12 months, etc. So really interesting stuff in the science, but let's dive into like the good stuff. Okay, how does EFT work? And I'm going to share my screen real quick. Oop, I can't yet.
Let's make you co-host. There you go.
So when we use these tapping points, we call them tapping points, all right? That acupressure works with the, you can all see that? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Works with the meridians in our body. And you all may be familiar with this concept of meridians, but meridians are sort of like the energy highways through our body. And you don't need to remember any of this or memorize any of this, but it just gives you a little bit of visual of these energy highways that run through our body. And so when we stimulate these energy highways and in tapping, you can either hold or actually tap, both totally work. We are sending a signal to our brain that it's safe enough for us to explore this emotion, this memory, this body sensation, whatever it is. And so as we all know, stagnant water leads to disease, right? And so the goal here is movement. The goal here is energy movement. And beyond that, there's no real right or wrong, good or bad. It's one of the things I love about EFT. Mm-hmm. All right. So how does EFT work? I'm going to share a few really quick things with you, like super fast. I'm going to fly through this screen, except for this is in the way. Okay, it's going to feel a little weird. If you giggle, it's totally okay. It's a very gentle technique, and it's going to get more familiar as you go, and it gets familiar really quickly. But seriously, this is an everything is welcome space. If you like lose it giggling, like you want me to tap under my arm, like I feel so silly, giggle away. People sometimes yawn, hiccup, burp, fart. All of it is welcome in this space because all of that can be a sign of energy movement. If anything hurts, don't do it. I'm going to walk you through a set of tapping points. If your head hurts and it doesn't feel comfortable to tap the top of your head, don't, right? It will still work 100%. Do what feels most comfortable for you. So a couple things people ask me, which fingers am I supposed to tap with? Really, any of them. They say these two, but you can tap with any of them. What's the pressure? The pressure is like, hey, you're just tapping a friend on the back of the shoulder. Now, for me personally, sometimes I tap harder depending on the topic. Sometimes I'm tapping really, really soft depending on the topic. Again, do what feels most comfortable for you. Right hand, left hand, doesn't matter.
Shannon,
right
really
side.
quick, when you, like for you, and I know this is going to vary for everyone, but when you do, is it like when you are tapping harder, do you feel like you have more energy pent up that's just been stuck and that's how you get it to move? Or like, do you have a mentality behind the pressure for you?
No, I often find the pressure for me is just really unconscious. Like whatever I'm going through, I maybe sort of realize halfway through the rounds, oh, I'm being really soft. Or maybe I get to my chest, especially if I'm thumping hard. And that's where I feel like, oh, wow, I'm like pounding my chest and like, there must be something behind this topic for me. Okay. But when there's sides that are, or tapping points, meridian points that are on both sides, you can use the right side, left side, both side. It all works equally. Really do what feels most comfortable. These are the tapping points. You don't need to memorize them. I'm going to cue you along the way. They're pretty clear. Side of the hand, top of your head, inside eyebrow. And inside eyebrow is right where this bone is around your eye. If you follow that bone right around to the other side of your eye, your bone is right here. So you don't want to be tapping in your eyeball, of course, but it's also not technically on the temple. It's right where that bone is. Follow that bone under your eye. There's this bone right under your eye. under your nose, your chin, your collarbone. And your collarbone, you can do really any way you want. You can do 2 hands on 2 sides. Some people just make an L and feel like, oh, I'm crossing the plane somewhere, I'm going to get it. And then under your arm, sort of where your bra strap is. Some people raise their hands. Some people are coordinated to do this. I'm a hugger, so I sort of hug myself and tap on both sides, right? I'm totally a hugger, right? But again, you don't have to memorize that. And as we go through these tapping points, when we're doing EFT, we are focused on some kind of emotion, situation, memory, and we're activating our system to say it's safe enough for us to go explore this uncomfortable feeling, memory, body sensation, etc. Okay, so I am going to show you really quick because I'm going to show, oh, we're not going to go through this part. Sorry. Okay.
You're doing awesome, Shannon. I know I asked you to cover a lot within 1 hour. So this is,
we're doing great. Yeah. We are moving along. Okay. So this is the piece that I am wickedly passionate about, how to use EFT in the moment. EFT is great for a morning meditation practice. There's this thing called personal peace process that really helps you clear out all the in your life. But this is, how do I use it in the moment? When I'm sitting at a parent teacher conference, when I'm in the doctor's office, when I'm up at 3 o'clock in the morning in bed, like, how do I use it in the moment? And these are the tapping points at the ends of your fingers. And so it's right on that edge where your fingernail meets the cuticle. And it's on the thumb, on the index finger, on the middle finger. I still tap my ring finger because I can't think that hard to remember which finger. It doesn't matter. Your pinky finger. There's also this gamut point that's sort of the soft point in between these 2 fingers. And then there's wrist to wrist. And again, you don't need to memorize any of these. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about them afterwards, but there you go. That is your like really quick, down and dirty, super short intro to EFT. But the thing I do want to say is that, and this is like, give me 30 seconds to get on my soapbox. If you do EFT via videos, if you do EFT via apps, oftentimes they will do 3 to 5 rounds. And when I say a round, it's sort of your head through the tapping points. That's 1 round. By the 3rd round, they are automatically turning you toward a more positive language, I guess I'll say, or a more positive intention. And although that is super wonderful, you may not always authentically be there. And the thing about EFT is really about, where are you authentically in this moment? And wherever you are at authentically in this moment is totally enough and totally perfect. And that might mean you do 2 or 3 more rounds on a particular feeling. That might mean the feeling that you started with, you actually feel more intensity as opposed to less intensity.
Which is okay, and which is great, because again, the goal is movement, right?
Because the energy is still moving, right? Stagnant waters lead to disease, right? We want this energy to move in whatever way it's going to authentically move. So Sarah and I chatted before, and we talked about a lot of different possibilities for today. And so today we're going to work with parts. We're going to work with our parts. Now, not all of EFT is parts work, but today we're going to work with parts because it's something she and I both super relate to.
So people aren't assuming, what do you mean by parts work?
Yep. So when I say parts work, we all have parts of us. So there's part of me that loves pouring into other people. There's also a part of me that knows I need to really take care of myself. There's part of me that can feel super overwhelmed on the one hand, while another part of me equally knows it's going to be okay. And so we can have, in a given moment, multiple parts of us. we can feel like, oh, there's part of me that's mom, there's part of me that's professional, there's part of me that's goofy, silly sister, there's part of me, like we all have parts of us. And so we're going to use this language around parts today. Now, not all EFT is parts work. And again, EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Technique. There's an S on the end of techniques. And there are dozens of techniques within this EFT bucket. And so that's why I would encourage you, if you've seen a video or listened to an app, to know that there may be other components to EFT in addition to. So what we're doing today is not the whole breadth of EFT. It's not all always done like this, but this is just one type of technique within EFT. Okay.
I also want to go back on something that you said earlier real quickly. I love that a lot of your techniques also, they seem to be centered around the I am coaching, like the I am approach, where what you touched on earlier, a lot of different training videos and different techniques will sort of guide you into this positive only, these statements in the language. I love this about you. And this is part of why I wanted to have you in on our group, because one of our, missions, I guess, is to stay authentic and stay real, say the things that we feel, tell people how we feel about them, and just to keep that authenticity. And so I love that you really model that in your practice and what you do. And I'm just, so I just wanted to give that nod to you. Yeah.
Because it's really important. And I know that some of you on here, like Lara, I mean, we just really have to honor those parts that are hard, and really have to acknowledge those parts that are hard. And if we immediately turn toward the positive, that's awesome. But if it takes us a while to get there, that's totally cool too. Like whatever it takes, we're here in the journey together. We're here in the journey together. So if you have a second, or a piece of paper, grab a piece of paper. All right.
A new pen here.
And Sarah, ooh, pretty pen. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Okay.
I know someone told me to get a manifesting pen.
Ooh.
Like it's the pen I write my dreams and prayers and intentions and manifestations with. And rather than having like a beautiful journal, because I write stuff everywhere.
I love that idea.
Manifesting pen. I was like, okay, I'm going to start looking for one.
Ding.
All right. So Sarah, this may or may not be where you were thinking of going today, but here we go, right? Are you ready? I think we are. I said all of that.
Okay.
So when you think about today, right? When you think about today or all the things that you need to do today or how the day has gone already, what's the first sort of emotion or feeling that comes to mind? And just go ahead and jot that down. And then on a scale of 0 to 10, with 0 being none and 10 being the most intense, how intense is that feeling? And then can you feel it anywhere in your body? You may or may not be able to feel it somewhere in your body. If you can, that's great. If you can't, it's totally okay too. And just write that down. And what's that sensation? Is it a burning sensation? Is it tight? Is it pinching? What's the sensation? And again, on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being none, 10 being the most intense, how intense is it? Okay, so now you're going to take that piece of paper and you're just going to put it aside. You're going to, tuck it underneath something, maybe put it out of view, put it in your journal, whatever, just put it, close your journal, wherever it is, put it aside. And now we're just going to focus on Sarah because we love her.
And I'm always willing to be the guinea pig. What can I say?
And this is sometimes when you're tapping in a group, we are tapping for and with somebody. And sometimes when you're tapping in a group, everybody's tapping on their own individual thing. But today we're going to try this technique and we're going to tap for and with Sarah. And so she and I are going to chat a little bit. Sometimes we'll tap while we're chatting. Sometimes we won't. But as we tap, you tap along with us. And particularly as Sarah and I begin these repeating of statements and Sarah repeats the statement, you can just go ahead and repeat the statement like as if you were Sarah, even if it has nothing to do with what you just wrote down and it doesn't relate to it at all. All right. Any questions? Everyone with me? I'm so excited. Are you ready, Sarah? You get a little hot?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So, and just so you know, I am going to be writing stuff down. I'm not looking down or not paying attention, but the exact words are important. So just giving you that heads up.
Also, just a heads up for everyone here, Shannon has gone above and beyond in prepping for this hour for us together. And we're going to send this out after today's workshop, sort of a guide, sort of an outline of what she's put together, like what we're going to go through right now, which is going to be super helpful. So I want to put that out there so that all of us can really be in the moment here and not worried about like, am I getting this technique down? Am I going to remember what to say when it comes time to try this on my own? Don't worry about that. Let's just go all in with Shannon now and just have fun with it.
Sweet. All in. Here we go. So Miss Sarah, just take a deep cleansing breath. So my friend, when you think about this day today, what some of the feelings that came up? What'd you write down?
It's interesting because I wake up on workshop days and I feel so excited and happy, but the first word that came to mind, I don't even know if it's a word, sludge.
Mm-hmm.
Or just weight, like as if I'm like kind of trudging, like this day so far has been nothing out of the ordinary, but it just feels like there's this sludge I'm moving through.
Right. And can you feel it in your body somewhere?
Yes. I get a period migraine once a month. And so I know that's coming. I can feel this, I can feel the throbbing a little bit coming.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's on the side of your head.
Yeah. It's usually around my temples, more on my right side.
How intense is it today?
I would say that throbbing is about a 6 or 7.
All right. You ready?
Yeah. Okay.
Even though when I think about this day, and you all can repeat along with us, even though when I think about this day, it's workshop day, so I do feel excited and happy. But there's another part of me that just feels this sludge. This trudging. And that's just how I feel right now. It's just what came up for me. And so even though when I thought about the day, there's part of me that is indeed excited and happy. There was another part of me. The first word that came up was sludge. And that's just the first word that came up. And so even though when I think about this day, there's part of me that thought about sludge. And there's part of me that's excited and happy.
And there's part of me that feels excited and happy.
And that's just what's going on right here, right now.
And that's just what's going on right here and right now.
And that's okay.
And that is okay.
Because I'm okay.
Because I'm okay.
All right, so we're going to go to the top of our head. Sludge.
Sludge.
Trudging.
Trudging.
Like I just feel this weight.
Like I just feel this weight.
Yeah, and I can feel this throbbing in the side of my head.
Yeah, and I can feel this throbbing on the side of my head.
Particularly the right side.
Particularly the right side.
That's nothing new.
It's nothing new.
This sludge feeling.
This sludge feeling.
And I honor this sludge feeling.
And I honor this sludge feeling.
I honor this part of me.
I honor this part of me.
That thought about sludge.
That thought about sludge.
So now I'm going to ask this part of me that thought about sludge.
So now I'm going to ask this part of me that thought about sludge.
Is there anything you want to share with me?
Is there anything you want to share with me?
I'm here. I'm listening.
I'm here and I'm listening.
Because I honor you.
Because I honor you.
All right, Sarah. So now you can just, what does sludge need to tell us, if anything? And we'll just tap through it.
God, that was a great question, because immediately it answered, you are about to do what you normally do, which is go 1,000%, 1,000 miles an hour at something. And I am here to remind you that you don't have to do it the way that you normally do it and wear yourself out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that I'm
not here to remind you
all the way. I'm not here all the way yet, because I'm giving you a chance to choose how you want to do it this time.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything you'd like to say back to sludge?
Thank you for the pesky reminder. I do appreciate it.
Thank you for that reminder.
Thank you for that reminder.
I honor you.
I honor you.
And even though it feels kind of pesky,
And even though it feels kind of pesky,
I appreciate that you're here to remind me.
I do appreciate that you're here to remind me.
And to remind me that I have a choice.
And to remind me that I have a choice.
And there's this other part of me.
And there's this other part of me.
I'm going to make a choice to listen to.
I'm going to make a choice to listen to.
As well.
As well.
This part of me that's excited and happy.
This part of me that's excited and happy.
I love workshop day.
I do. I love workshop day.
I love connecting with my people.
I love, love, love connecting with my people.
So honor this part of me that's excited and happy on workshop day.
Yeah. So honor this part of me that's excited and happy on workshop day.
So is there anything the excited and happy part of you wants to say?
Yes. She's looking down on this pesky reminder as like a little sibling, like a little sister or brother, knowing, but not wanting to admit that they're right, but hearing it. And in a quiet, begrudging way, they're also saying thank you.
So like big sibling excited and happy.
So big sibling excited and happy.
Is also hearing and seeing little sibling sludge.
Is also seeing and hearing little sibling sludge, sister sludge.
Sister sludge. And I honor all of these parts of me.
I do. I honor all these different parts of me.
I honor the part that's excited and happy.
I honor the part excited and happy.
I honor it by listening.
I honor it by listening.
I honor little sister sludge.
And I honor little sister Sledge.
I honor it by listening.
And I honor it by listening.
And that's just where I'm at with this day.
And that's just where I'm at with this day.
Right here, right now.
Right here and right now.
And so even though sometimes I forget,
So even though sometimes I do forget,
I am indeed a woman of power.
I am indeed a woman of power.
And so it is.
And so it is.
All right, so let's just take a cleansing breath. Some people like to stretch, and some people breathe, and some people put their hand on their heart and their belly. Whatever feels most comfortable for you. And so let's just check in, Miss Sarah. And how's that sludge feeling?
I actually feel a little bit lighter.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not this sharp pounding on the right side anymore. My forehead is warm. Like it's almost like it's moved, it's shifting, and it's maybe wanting to maybe come out a little bit or just kind of dissolve. Yeah.
And that 6 or 7 throbbing is maybe a 0 or a 2, or it's just different.
Throbbing, it's like a dull 4.
Yeah. Okay. Right. And so now everyone else grab your piece of paper. And just check in with yourself. That first feeling about when I think about my day, I feel blank. And you rated it in intensity. Is it still the same feeling? Maybe it's a different feeling. Maybe it's more intense. Maybe it's less intense. Wherever you're at is totally awesome. And then where you feel it in your body, just check in with that sensation. Maybe it's moved. Maybe it's gotten tighter. Maybe it's disappeared. Maybe it's exactly the same. But just checking in. And although that was a quick, what I would consider quick, because we do hour-long EFT sessions where there's a lot of back and forth and we follow the meander of emotions and sensations that come up, would love to just open the floor for anyone who would like to share. Like if you're willing to share what your feelings were and if they changed, or anything that you saw in the interaction with Sarah that you connected to or were moved by, just open the floor for a few minutes.
I'm already unmuted, so I'll just go for it. Thank you for that. And I feel like this is, it's just sort of a taste of what is possible. Like, I think if we did go longer, if we went for 60, even 90 minutes, like you offered, that would be, I can just see how powerful this would be, because I definitely feel, I wrote down that now the words that came to mind were slower than average for me. It's not sludge. It's not this added weight that I'm trying to pull. It's just, I'm just moving a little bit more slowly. And I don't feel it in my whole body anymore. My legs aren't feeling like they're going through mud. I feel it only in my head. And it's sort of that dulled sense of, it's like a little bit uncomfortable. It's not the average for me. But I didn't describe it in a negative way.
Right.
It just came to me as like a matter of fact, oh, I'm moving a little bit more slowly than average for me.
And that's such a beautiful example of the difference of what, say, maybe a video or an app would lead you to, which is all very positive and beautiful. But when you can imagine when Sarah rests into, oh, I'm just slower than average for me, like that feels so authentic and so pure and so totally okay.
Mhm.
Right? Like it's her own authentic journey to whatever that looks like for her.
And this feels great to me. Like this
Right.
is great compared to what, 10 minutes ago? Like this is
Right.
awesome.
Yay, that's awesome. Which is why using those exact words are really important, All right, so Lara or Marianne, I don't know who owner is, but you're welcome to chime in too. Yeah, Lara.
So I just love tapping. It historically has been, I think when I was in a really dark place several years ago, it was the one thing that made the most difference for me in my healing. I'll just throw that out for everyone. It's very powerful. So thank you. I was very excited about today. Just in tapping, for Sarah's thing, her statements and whatnot, I started with my day was a doctor appointment with my daughter first thing, and then having to take her to school because, she couldn't ride the bus because she was late. And then on the way, and then I had to pick up a different daughter from school this afternoon, which I don't normally do. So it's a lot of just the whole back and forth to schools, Well, on the way home from dropping my oldest at school this morning after her doctor appointment, a different doctor called and they needed to see her today. So I had to just go home, eat breakfast, turn back around, go get her again, take her to a different doctor. So unexpected. And just so I was feeling just like super busy, but like stressful busy. Like the day is not my own and I just have to run all these things and do for everyone else. And I was feeling anxious about that at about a 7. And then I also, at the same time, a different part of me was feeling super tired. Like I don't know if everyone noticed me yawning 2 or 3 times while we were talking. It's not you, Shannon. So I'm just like, I could fall asleep right now. So then we did the tapping and all of the anxious, busy 7 parts were totally gone. And then the tired is like, yeah, I just really want to take a nap still. And that's totally fine.
Right. And we honor the tired part. Like I can hear the honored, like, yeah. And that's totally fine. Because like my life is really tiring.
I really like taking naps like every day. So it's a part of who I am. It's fine.
I think could we do like co-working nap sessions? Because I would be totally down for that.
I just saw someone shared a meme or a reel. I don't know the difference between the two, but the audio behind it, this was just yesterday. It was this woman just talking. She's like, I just want to start a club where all we do is nap and maybe read. Like, I don't even know what the other one was, but I was like, I know this is meant to be a joke, but that would be phenomenal to me. If we had like a time on the calendar for us to nap, it would be so awesome.
I'm totally down for that. Totally down for that.
Let's do it.
Marianne's in too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just want to put a button on it by saying that if I can get a nap in every day, that's like a really good day. I gauge it by the naps. And I'll just say with regard to this, this experience, Shannon, thank you so much for leading this. And without getting into a lot of detail, I'll just say that, I had the first word that just came for me, and it's in a specific instance, was blah. And there's a blah, and it's, and it was like a 6 or 7. And I tried not to, I've been really kind of pushing the blah out of the way. I think that's another big part of what happens. at the end of the few minutes that we did this with Sarah, I felt just so much lighter. I wouldn't say the blah is completely gone, but I would say I really couldn't, it wasn't the topmost thing. So I could see, doing more and longer, sessions like this would make a big difference. So thank you so much.
Yay, some movement for sure. And that's where I think this using the parts work that can be really helpful. I mean, sometimes I'm supercharged with a single emotion, but oftentimes there's like multiple things going on. And although I might be overwhelmed, like there is a part of my head that, that logic part that's like, it's going to be fine. Well, I get to honor all of those parts of me, right? I don't have to. And Sarah and I were having this conversation about a lot of times, and we do this as friends and it's well-intentioned, but we try and think our way into feeling different. Like, well, it's going to be fine. Well, yeah, I know it's going to be fine. And I still feel out of my mind. So like the knowing it's going to be fine doesn't actually help in the moment. It's this journey of, oh, I'm going to honor all of those parts of me. And I'm going to give them the floor if they need the floor. And sometimes they quite frankly don't need the floor. I mean, sometimes it's like, do you have anything to say? And they're like, yeah, no, not really. I'm just here. And you're like, awesome. Glad you're here. Thanks for showing up. Right. But a lot of times they have something that they want to say and we get to listen and honor whatever it is that they need to say.
So good. I might share this to the group. I was just listening to, it was sort of a parenting podcast, but with Dr. Becky, I can't remember her last name, but her company is called Good Inside. And it's the belief that everyone is good inside, right? Like kids, that all of us are good inside. It's just, we have these barriers kind of added on top of, that look like expectations and us as adults not knowing the right way to handle things and just, but all of us are good inside. And she has been sharing this, it's called internal family systems. I think have you heard of this?
Yep.
Okay.
IFS,
so,
yeah.
Like we all have this family, it's within every individual, we have this family of characters, so to speak, that they're all, just like you're saying, they're all working together and your sense of self is always at the head of the table. Like your truest, your best, your innate self is at the head of the table, but you've got to listen to your internal family. It's like the movie Inside Out. We just watched that last Friday with my daughter. And I think this is such a great movie because they show disgust, they show fear, they show joy. Joy is usually at the head, but long story short, you need sadness to have joy. And it's just such a beautiful thing. And I think I 100,000% agree and see what you're saying, Shannon, that all these different parts are so important that we need all of them. And it's not just, for example, if maybe I'm beating myself up because I'm not checking all the things off the list or whatever it might be. And we have this tendency to make it so black and white. Well, if you just clear your schedule or if you just focus, you could do that. Well, maybe we don't need to make it so black and white, and maybe we shouldn't in a way, because maybe it's more than that. And it's, I do want to get this done, but I don't want to feel like I'm going through sludge all the time. I don't want the migraine. I can chip away at it, but I'm also going to listen to that part of me, that family member that's telling me to slow the fuck down, and just do it in bits and pieces and enjoy family time in the afternoon or, before. So there's a lot of different parts. And I love that what you do can call on a single part, and not make this like huge mountain of a task for us, which is oftentimes thinking that we need to like fix this thing. Like either we have this problem and we're going to do a session of some sort and it's going to fix it. That's like never the case. So I love what you do. And it's really.
That's where I'm going to give you this takeaway. And
yes.
so this takeaway, so EFT as we sort of know it in our Western world came into being, just say around the 1990s. It was sort of codified by people in the UK and the US. It's something that's been around for thousands and thousands of years. But in that original iteration of EFT, the second part of the statement, if you remember, where I said things like, that's just how I'm feeling right now. That's just what's going on with me. The original, what's called the follow-up statement, was, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. But as EFT evolved, the discovery was that a lot of people don't deeply and completely love and accept themselves. And so it was really hard for them to say those words. And that's why we have these other iterations. That's just what's going on with me right now. That's blah, 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 blah. But in a pinch, whether you feel it or not, and part of my EFT journey is that I came across EFT, this little half piece of paper came across my world. I don't know where or who from. I have no idea where it came from, about 20 years ago. And it has, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. And I did not 20 years ago deeply and completely love and accept myself. But I was a single parent. I was living in Los Angeles. I was spending 4 hours a day in traffic. I was going through a lot of trauma recovery as well as some physical healing. And I had no money and I had no time. And I was so stressed. And I knew I could do this anywhere, anytime, totally for free. And so I followed the little directions that says, even though I feel blank, when I think about blank, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. And I am sure, well, I know based by our current, how we train people in EFT, because I'm a trained EFT practitioner, I did it all wrong. But I will tell you that even though I didn't believe, I didn't really feel like I deeply and completely loved and accept myself at the time. It is the thing. It is the thing, sort of like Lara shared, it is the thing that turned the corner for me on healing and hope and really connecting with divine wisdom, etc. So these tapping points on the side of your hand, you can do these when you're in a doctor's office. You can do these when you're waiting for the doctor to come into the doctor's office. When I'm in a parent-teacher meeting sometimes, I too have a child who has lots of needs, and I spend a lot of time with school professionals where I need to advocate hard, and I might be getting frustrated. So my hands are underneath the table and I'm just holding this gamut point. I'm just holding the gamut point so that I know I'm sending a signal to my brain that I do not need to activate my fight or flight. I can reduce my cortisol, reduce the stress, and stay present in this moment to have this conversation. 3 o'clock in the morning when I'm wide awake and my husband's sound asleep, and I'm like, I am so irritated that it's 3 o'clock in the morning and I'm wide awake. I have so much to do tomorrow and I'm already foggy brained. I'm going to be more foggy brained. Now this is all going on in my head, right? But I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Oh man, this is so frustrating. I deeply and completely love and accept myself. This is the thing I love about EFT. It can go with you anywhere. It is a totally free stress reduction tool in your pocket, anywhere, anytime, totally for free. Now, it's great to use in your morning meditation and all of those things, but it's not its only use. People are like, oh, I don't have time for that. Well, I got to tell you, I probably do more in the moment tapping than I do even a morning EFT practice anymore. I do tap over a lot of big things. I do a lot of tapping professionally, but that in the moment, how to bring EFT into your daily life, even though there's part of me that feels so scattered and my day is just turned upside down, going from doctor's office to doctor's office. Whew, there's another part of me that's like really tired because my life is tiring, and that's really okay. All right, that's totally okay. And all of that's just happening while I'm sitting in a doctor's office. And it's the ability to take this tool anywhere that I think is one of its greatest powers. And I love to share with people. And truly, it's been such an honor and a privilege to do this with Sarah and with you all. And hopefully you have some nuggets to take with you. And I think that Sarah, yeah, Lara. And then I think Sarah's going to share a little bit of 5 minutes to fill your cup.
Yeah, can I just have a quick question? I hadn't ever seen the little finger things before. So thank you. And my question is could you do that on someone else? Like, could I do those little finger points on Taylor, my daughter?
You can, and I will tell you that I have used, yes, and you can also do surrogate tapping. So I do surrogate tapping for my son quite a bit when I know he's particularly amped or he's particularly socially challenged or he's whatever. I will do, now I have also done tapping with him, but I can do those for him. Now you will also notice that for many people, when they're nervous, they'll start going. We instinctively have this ability that we instinctively are trying to send these messages to our system. Or oftentimes people,
Yeah.
right, we're right activating those, but we're activating those with that stress emotion in our mind.
Yeah.
Right. And so absolutely, if your daughter will let you do those, you can, and you can out loud or just in your own thoughts. Yeah, and I'd be happy to share surrogate tapping with you at a time if you want to learn more about that too. I do a lot of surrogate tapping with Jackson.
Curious how that works. Okay, thank you.
Shannon, maybe we can, this is kind of a segue into what I was going to say. Maybe we can have that be a topic for if you want to, whatever's easiest for you to do, like a short live video one day in the community or a post, whatever's easiest for you. But Shannon's going to kick us off with this new format, like I mentioned. And she's, so for the next 2-ish weeks, it's going to be casual, but she will be putting some more nuggets into our community space. So keep an eye out for those. She's got a lot of great resources already, including that script that we mentioned at the beginning of this. That'll be that structure for you to reference. But again, Shannon, you did it wrong yourself, you said, for 20 years, right? So I freaking love that. I just think that's so awesome that there's no wrong way to do this.
Right.
I just love
did it wrong for 10 or 15 years. And then my son, it totally helped me.
Yeah.
And then my stepson came into my life and I went out into the world and I learned all about what was being offered via video and apps. And I had people who told me that my son couldn't benefit from any kind of trauma treatment. And I said, I don't really believe that. Thank you very much. And so started doing tapping with him. And then fast forward to the pandemic, another 5 or so years. And I realized I could get certified in this. And I thought, what better thing to do during the pandemic than get certified in this tapping crazy wacky thing I've been doing for 20 years. And I had never actually tapped with a practitioner. I'd always done it on my own. I'd never tapped in a group. I'd always done it on my own. And so, 15, 20 years on, my tapping practice then went to this other level and experience. And so I've gotten to experience it in all these different ways, which I think is it helps me share that experience with others and really support them in whatever form of EFT works most comfortably for you. But I'll be popping in. And so if you do any tapping or you have any questions, I think Sarah's going to share a little bit about this 5-minute a day challenge. That pop them in there, or if you don't go into the group very often, send Sarah an email, send me an email, whatever, and then I can post something into the group that sort of answers that question or just banters back to a feeling or an emotion or what worked or what didn't work, and really holding space and honoring that all feedback is welcome, because whatever is authentic and alive for you is absolutely perfect and enough.
Yes. Okay. On that note, this will be a separate email or something, but this year I really want us to, if you can, lean on the app and go into the group more, because I'm going to be posting events to it, of course, and you can set your notifications the way that you want so they're not overwhelming. the app, once you're in there, if you RSVP to an event, it's really easy to get reminders about that event. It's really easy to add the Zoom link to your calendar. I was going to say a love-hate relationship with MailChimp and newsletters, but it's like a hate relationship with it. They take me forever. So I will keep trying to send those emails out, but the app, we're going to lean more on it this year going forward, because I will say the more I use it, Marianne, maybe you can speak to this too, but it just feels, it's so nice to be away from the noise of Facebook and some other community app. Like, this is only for us. There's no ads. There's no noise. It's specifically for our group. So it's really awesome. And so there's that. But I also, we've got one more minute left. Also new with the format we're going to be doing each month is, Shannon mentioned, sort of a 5-day or 5 minutes a day. I don't even want to call it a challenge. I just want this to be a way for you to, we're going to learn about a new tool and hopefully add it to the toolkit. And in doing that, all we're going to do is 5 minutes a day. Like, you can do more if you want, but I've put together this one pager. I'll be posting this. I'll email it as well. 5 minutes a day for me. And I didn't put dates. Yep. 5 minutes a day to fill your own cup. And we'll have a little bit of a blurb here, just reminding you about tapping and just the overall goal of it. And then Shannon was so kind to put that script together. I'll include that. There's no dates on this printout, so you can start it when you want to. You can go back to it. You can print another copy if you feel like, wow, I really like this tool. Like, I really enjoy tapping. This has been really helpful for me. You can print off another copy, do it again anytime. It's really simple. That's the goal. Let's just keep this really simple and just 5 minutes a day for ourselves. And so it'll just be, the date. You can put a check mark if you've done it that day. I added a space for a note, maybe like what you tapped on, how that was, what you maybe started out feeling and what your number was after, whatever you want. And then at the bottom, I just have a space for the biggest takeaway. And I just thought it would be nice to have a quick shorthand reference for what you think of this particular tool. And so again, I would love for us by the end of this year to go back, like to have, 12 of these. And we can just flip through them and say, wow, I have this whole self-care toolkit that I can go back to anytime. So that's going to be sort of the goal with this new format. And Shannon, I can't thank you enough for being the first to kick this off. That was awesome.
It's such an honor. Thanks for asking me, Sarah. Really, it's such an honor to be in your community. Thank you.
Right back at you. I'm so glad you're in it, and all of you. This is just, it's such a special space. I have no headache. I'm like at a 0. This is just amazing.
So awesome. I love it. I know, right?
Yeah. God. Okay. Well, hey, we did it. Shannon, you did it.
We did it. We totally did. It was awesome.
Yeah, that was great. Okay, we will see you guys in the group. If you have any issues logging into the app, just holler, just send me an email. I'll help you get into it, because it is really helpful once you get the knack of it. So, okay, we'll see you for our next gathering, which will be next Thursday, everybody, for our monthly card writing workshop. So we'll see you guys then. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Shannon, you're amazing.
You're so great, honey. Oh, where'd you go?